Hello and welcome to LOP Radio on YouTube. I've got video and everything. I was meant to minimise that, so that's bloody annoying. Actually, you know what? Let's do the reveal anyway. There we go. Oh, from that, I just pretend that never happened. And then double or nothing, all the signs there, and I say, welcome to the show. Welcome to the double or nothing predictions video. And then I go, plus with an added bonus. I practiced. I don't know why I'm looking at my microphone. I bloody practiced doing that, switching it, and then I forgot to turn the thing off, so that's brilliant. Well done, me. Anyway, let's do the proper intro. Hello, my name is Matt Mayer, aka Imp, and this is LOP Radio on YouTube, on Red Circle, and wherever you get your podcast feeds. AEW Double or Nothing is live this Saturday, so it's time for some lovely predictions. Also, first time being live, not a clue what to do with my hands. I've heard people say that's a thing, but yeah, and for some reason I keep using the trackpad on my laptop when I've got a mouse here, just to stop me doing it. So anyway, I am in a kitchen. Just to the right of me there is a fridge. Behind me there's a massive pile of washing, a calendar, just to tell me. I was annoyed with that calendar, I want to take it down. The only thing that I've done here to try to jazz it up a bit is Forky. It's just on there. It's a running gag of Forky and his kazoo being just there, so I thought I'll put him on top of my sound wall to kind of stop the echoing. So I've mentioned this before. I've been trying to get video up on the Lots of Pain YouTube channel for quite a while, and it's just not been the case. So it's just not been able to do it. And then the lockdown happened. I've gone back kind of home with both of my brothers and wives and things. So this house is absolutely packed. There's also an extension being built at the same time. So it's ironically really busy lockdown at the moment, so we've got all that happening, and it's not really the best time for video, but I've figured out a way. I've got it all kind of working, so now I can see face reveal, kind of, I guess, if you follow me for a while. Anyway, so that was the intro. Today we'll be let's get all that out the way, get all that bull out the way. I will be going through the AEW Double or Nothing card. Send in your predictions and whatnot in the chat and whatever, or like even comments, or me on Twitter. If you follow me on Twitter at the damn Implicat. I will be not checking it during this. There's already too much going on, and it's boiling. And I'm British. I'm Irish British, which is even worse because I'm so tired. Like the heat, I don't do well with the heat. Anyway, massive tangent. So I'll be going through the card for AEW Double or Nothing. I've got like graphics and things as well, so he's not just going to look at me in front of that, I guess, as well. Also, there's only one light source, so I'm going to be shadowed a lot. And it's my laptop webcam. So it's going to be fuzzy and crap. But most people don't care, it'll be fine. Anyway, to AEW Double or Nothing. Before I get properly into it, we'll be live this Saturday after the show with LOP Radio Aftershock. As far as I know, it's just going to be me. Janman might join me from Dynamite After Dark, which is Laws of Pain Radio's immediate post-show for AEW Dynamite. So we might be live after that. But as far as I know, it might just be me. And given that it's like normally with AEW, the streams in the UK over here, they finish at like 7 in the morning. So I'm normally going to bed. Well, that's not entirely true. I'm normally going to bed at like 7:30. So the likelihood of me being able to work this at that time is pretty slim. So we'll see how it goes. Anyway, the card for Double or Nothing. I'll start at the top with the big matches and then slowly go down, just because. Now we're here on YouTube as well. Just in case you are listening to the podcast version of this, why am I looking at my microphone? I do that on the podcast. But there's it's like I've got a friend hidden behind a wall. But yeah, so I can pretend I'm talking to Forky. So I am going live immediately after Aftershock, so chances of this setup working then pretty slim. But yeah, for the podcast version, there is a picture of me, so I'm being weird and I'm moving my hands in a weird way as well. Anyway. Also, the hair is really puffed out. It's just gone. So, yeah, that's what I call heat. Plus, showered pretty close to this because, again, helping out with an extension being built. It's nightmare. Anyway, none of you care. If you clicked on this, you clicked on here for predictions. You didn't click on here for British man's woes and troubles. So, first off, let's talk Mox versus Brody Lee for the AEW Championship. Let's move my sexy face all the way up so you can actually see. Hey! Hollow if you want me moved. Whatever. I've got so many windows open, I don't even know how many of you are watching right now. Anyway, so I've just realised something is wrong with that picture. I drew a white line at the top, I don't know if you can see it. So That's good. No, you can't. Who cares? Who cares? So, Jon Moxley versus Brody Lee for the AEW World Championship, likely to be the main event. Thinking back to this time last year when it was Chris Jericho versus Kenny Omega in the first round of the AEW Championship, I guess semi-finals. They just did 2 matches. Then Hangman Page beat somebody. He won the thing, didn't he? The Battle Royal. This year there is no Battle Royal, which I remember not really liking those Casino Battle Royals, where I'm normally somebody who just enjoys stuff, but this time I just didn't enjoy it for some reason. So, I didn't enjoy the Casino Royales. I'm quite a light going chap. I don't really criticize things too much. I don't really mind that much. But for some reason, I just couldn't get into the Casino Battle Royals. They're Battle Royals. They should be fun. I think I'd say they were fun, but I wasn't really invested. Anyway, we're a whole year past that, and to think like Chris Jericho had an absolutely amazing reign. Jon Moxley made a hell of an impact after Double or Nothing last year. So him being champion coming into it, where last year the show kind of ended on a note where everybody was talking about him, and 1 year later he's the champion. I like that. I like that. It's not chemistry, poetry. I get symmetry. One of those. Yeah. So one of those things. But Jon Moxley he's in the early stages of his championship reign, having defended against Jake Hager, and now he's going up against Brody Lee of the Dark Order, who himself a former WWE guy who was trying to get his release for a really long time, and it was the joke of whenever somebody mucked up, like that's another 3 months added to Luke Harper's contract. It's just he's finally gotten out and immediately went to AEW, snapped him up. They've been running their Exalted One from Dark Order storyline for quite some time. And now he's been there for a little while. And it's one of those acts that's really had to find his place. And I'm not sure... I feel like he's found his place a lot more. And he's taken influence from a lot of things for his character. You'll notice a lot of mafia movie references, especially, I guess, cult films. He's outright, word for word, quoted Scientology talkers and speakers. There's one, I can't remember his name, like one of the leaders or head talkers of Scientology. 1 week, I remember Ryan Satin of Pro Wrestling. It's Pro Wrestling Sheet. I'm an idiot. But so I remember Ryan Satin talking about Brody Lee. He's just outright copying Vince McMahon here. He's doing this, and then I remember myself and Sir Sam just on Twitter just like, no, he's word for word quoted this Scientology guy. Like he's actually taken influence from multiple places all over, and I'm pretty certain Vince McMahon is one of them. I like the idea that he's taking influence from everywhere. Of course, in wrestling, as fans of things, you see the Vince McMahon one, and that kind of dominates everything, when really in reality, it's not just that one. There's multiple places he's getting influence from, and all of them are... I like the mix, long story short. And yeah, it's an interesting character. I still feel like he's still finding his feet. And this is the first pay-per-view as well. So this is like the first time we've seen in AEW like a new character come in, a new character debut, and then that massive gap between, I guess, Revolution and Double or Nothing. By that time, you've been able to establish the new character. So is it out of the realms of possibility for them to be in a top match when you've had weeks and weeks, if not months, kind of building them up? Like, the one thing that's changed it is the quarantine and everybody locking up has completely warped time. I still see Brody Lee as this guy who's only recently debuted for AEW, and I'm kind of like, in a World Championship match, and he's only recently debuted. But then I think back on it, and it's been like 3 or 4 months. It's been ages. Like, Revolution was February, and Brody Lee debuted, if I'm right, on the first match of a lockdown, which would have been March, and we're now in May. So he's been in the company just shy of 3 months, which is mental to think about. It feels like he's been there a few weeks. He hasn't. So that's more than enough time to establish a character. And not forgetting that this was a storyline that was happening before he got his release, where they were building up the Exalted One. There's rumours it was going to be for Marty Scurll to have his own faction. Marty Scurll then obviously got that massive job for Ring of Honor. He's now essentially in charge, which is good for Marty Scurll and good for Ring of Honor. They've been amazing amount of good press since that movie's been made. But that means it's a shame for AEW because they don't get Marty Scurll's wisdom and brains. I'm hyping him up because he's English. Well, I kind of have to. But yeah, so there's that, and then Brody Lee is like the, I guess, second choice for it. But he works, and he's made it his own, which does mean there are a few kind of contrasting things with his character, where for AEW, it's before like, the original kind of thing where they're building up the Exalted One and he got the Dark Order, where there's a bit of goofiness, but there's a whole lot of cult in there. And Brody Lee's come in and he's brought a lot of Vince McMahon's Scientology Mafia. Like, those three things together weren't really anything being built. It was just the cult leader thing. Because there's cult leader stuff in there. But the influence from those other three places that you don't really get until Brody Lee comes in and that's what he wants to do. And that was apparently one of the things the Young Bucks said to Brody Lee. They were just saying that it's your promo, you do what you want, you say what you want in regards to this. I think that was in regards to the like one of the early light bulb promos, where it's got the light bulbs in the background and he's just standing there saying, I'm the Exalted One. Or, in his voice, which I can't do. It's just a normal voice. But yeah, so I like the way he's been built up. And as this kind of cult leader who has got, again, the mixture of business success that Scientology teaches, and I guess the line drawn, which you see with like Mafia Dons, cult leaders, and to an extent Vince McMahon. And he's definitely ribbed on Vince McMahon. But the other stuff is there, and that's kind of just important to me, where he's not just doing Vince McMahon. There's multiple parts in there, and that's what makes Brody Lee for me, is seeing all the different parts kind of play out, and you can see the influences. They do add to the character. It's not what I think they were originally building to, but it's a nice twist. The thing that obviously kind of separates it originally from the Dark Order is the fact that Evil Uno and Stu Grayson haven't been able to get to the shows. I think they're Canadian, or at least Evil Uno is. So obviously that means he would be stuck and not able to get to the shows. Like, the issue, WWE are having the exact same issue, where there's a load of performers that are just written off, they just can't get them. So they don't. So they have to work way around it, which means this version of the Dark Order feels extremely disconnected from the previous one. But that's just how things go. Anyway. But yeah, so in terms of these two feuds, go with it. In terms of the feud with these two, Brody Lee's been very direct with what he wants, immediately going for the AEW Championship, kind of setting himself up as a man of success, and his actions are going to prove that. He's stolen the AEW Championship from Jon Moxley, and he's the one who will likely be walking into the match with the title. It's Jon Moxley's, he's the champion, but that part of the mind games and part of showing his success is he's already entering it with the championship, in a way showing that he's that confident that he's going to win it. He's so confident that he's already got the championship with him. Like, I'm already the champion. It just needs to be signed on the paper, kind of thing. So Jon Moxley is just the badass guy who kicked Chris Jericho's ass because he pissed him off, and then Brody Lee's, because he got a target on his back, Brody Lee's gone after him, and Jon Moxley, obviously he's a champion, fights back as my headphones fall off. It does do that. I've only got them on one ear so I can actually hear the world around me. Because again, a full house, I just need to prepare just in case somebody darts in for getting them live. But yeah, so Jon Moxley is essentially defending his turf, defending his championship after he's had the target put on his back and somebody's come after him, so he's going after them. And his promo in AEW this week I thought was fantastic, where they did the normal, where Brody Lee was doing his normal stuff, building himself up again, comes out with the championship. Jon Moxley then wants a piece of Brody Lee, and to try and get him out there, he has a match with 10, and then after he defeats 10, he puts his arm in a chair saying, I will break his arm, I'll do a concerto to his arm if you don't come out. And Brody Lee was just like, oh, we almost have to make sacrifices, so I'll be leaving now. And I was just like, oh, that was fantastic. I love that. And then Brody Lee just leaves, and Jon Moxley breaks 10's arm, who the commentary are putting him over who as the guy who had become Brody Lee's number 2, kind of exemplifying the point that Brody Lee will willingly sacrifice anyone. Like, even somebody who's been regarded as his number 2, he just left, and he would just let him get his arm broken by Moxley. And then Moxley's promo later as well in the show, also fantastic, building it up, and it was talking about how things get escalated. And Jon Moxley was just talking about, you don't do this, and that results in this other thing happening. And the thing that escalated this time was it just goes worse and worse and worse, and Jon Moxley's now broken some guy's arm. It only gets worse from here. It's like, oh, what a really fantastic way to get you set up for that championship match. Just with that final line of, it only gets worse from here. After giving the other examples, and then he talks about directly his elevating of the danger, I guess. It was him breaking that guy's arm, and now it only keeps going downhill. It keeps getting worse. I was just like, yeah, a fantastic promo there. In terms of predictions, because I've waffled on long enough, I'm not going to take this long over all of them, because I have to go to bed at some point. Again, English, it is the next day. It's already Friday for me. So I'd like to go to bed at some point. I need my energy for Saturday night. But in terms of predictions, it's too early in Jon Moxley's reign, really, for him to drop it. I've got to say that Jon Moxley's retaining here. They have been setting up the Brody Lee character. I don't know. It doesn't feel like a match where there'll be a swerve. It feels like Moxley will do the better of Brody Lee, and it'll be about Brody Lee kind of exuding himself. I don't know if that's right. It'll be about Brody Lee kind of avenging that, I guess, in the next little while, as he avenges the wrong done against him, rather than him getting beaten by somebody. He's not the character who will say you were beaten by the better man, for example. Just like that. Anyway, before I just move on, I want to check everything's working, because there's so much going on. There's so much to bloody check. Right, next match. If I can get this to work. You ready? This is going to be amazing. Say goodbye to me. Oh. The TNT Championship. Mike Tyson will present the TNT Championship to the first ever champion in Cody versus Lance Archer. And he will be ringside along with both guys' managers, Cody having Arn Anderson and Lance Archer having Jake the Snake Roberts. And if I bring myself back... Huzzah! Why am I so high up? What is going on here? Right, go down. There we go. There we go. Just ease it. There we go. Oh, there we go. Right. Oh, still not right, is it? Oh, they go professional. Amazing. Right, so, with the AEW Championship, we've had... Let me just check the stream, because that might be weirdly all over. It's so far behind, who cares? So, the AEW TNT Championship, I don't think there's an AEW in it. The final of the tournament, where both guys made their way to the end. This kind of wraps up the arc of Lance Archer targeting Cody and just saying, I'm going to come after you. And the way they've ended up getting to that match is by them going through a tournament. A different way. I don't know if it's a different method planned and then they kind of brought stuff forward. Obviously, there was the whole blood and guts thing that was meant to happen that never did. And I don't know if this TNT Championship was meant to happen at a certain point and they brought it forward, or was it going to happen and they just changed a few things. But Cody vs. Lance Archer is a match which I can't see being bad. It's especially as there is so much room for shenanigans. Like, Cody is somebody who lives off those old school shenanigans. Like, he clearly loves that older style, and we see a lot of it in his matches. I'm personally a fan. I really like that stuff. Again, I'm quite easy to please. I like a lot of wrestling things. But with Cody, he's a weird one. Because Arn Anderson's promo rang a lot with me when I was kind of just watching at the time, where when he was talking to Jake the Snake on this week's AEW, he was just saying that this is Cody kind of confirming his place as the leader, which he has proven over this past year that he is a top draw, that he is like a leader here in AEW. And this championship is all about cementing that fact. He can lead with gold round his waist to properly cement a run as a top guy. And that kind of just stuck with me. I was just like, actually, the words make a lot of sense. Where he has had that year where he feels like a leading guy in AEW. And it makes sense to crown that achievement. He has become a leader. Lance Archer, on the other hand, has just been absolutely devastating. And destroyed everybody, and he I can't really speak. He's had his eye targeted on Cody the entire time, so it makes sense for him to go after Cody, as that's been his. Go after Cody. It makes sense for him to win the championship, as he's been going after Cody since his debut. Not quite like Shawn Spears, where it's targeted. Why is the headphones falling down? I think it's because it's hot. So yeah, with Lance Archer, it's been that. Kind of focus on, I am going to get to Cody Rhodes. It's not like Shawn Spears, where he is directly set on that one thing. He's perfectly happy just to beat people up and enjoy it, but he wants to go after Cody. And I don't know if that's part of Jake the Snake, where he's just saying, no, this is the guy you got to go for. And Jake the Snake kind of directs the anger and the monster of Lance Archer towards Cody. But Lance Archer will want championships. He wants to beat people up. Obviously, if you're the champion, then you got a target on your back. And what would Lance Archer love more than that? To have people willingly trying to go into the ring with him that he can just destroy. So it makes a lot of sense in terms of what Arn Anderson was saying in that promo, in terms of Cody, like, this can cement him as the leader he's kind of become, just to put that final pin on it, and like, you are the leader now, good uns. Good uns? But Lance Archer it built him up as an amazing monster heel, and again, this one could cement him as somebody to really mess with. So either guy is a good one. There will be shenanigans. Mike Tyson will punch somebody. Arn Anderson made the point that he is free to roam around the ring, where Jake the Snake and Arn Anderson will both be. Jake the Snake will get involved. Things will happen. Mike Tyson is punching somebody. Why else is Mike Tyson there? He's punching someone. And obviously presenting the TNT Championship as well, and made massive honour. So either they go with the feel-good moment, which WWE seem to have gone that way as well, where in this quarantine lockdown period, they've just been going a road where they just give the fans kind of that happy feeling on a pay-per-view. And I wouldn't be surprised, really, if AEW go that same route, just because it's proven to be the thing that the customer wants. So you give the customer what they want. And in that case, it's been the feel-good moments. But AEW are also thinking long-term with this kind of stuff. And it would cement Lance Archer. So you can also have that spot where Mike Tyson is unwillingly crowning Lance Archer. Maybe that's when he knocks out Jake the Snake, or he knocks out Big Man Lance Archer. I don't know if I'd like that, but that's also a possibility. Just because you built him up as a monster, and if Mike Tyson knocks him out, that's the issue. Quite a few people have when WWE do that thing where you have the real fighter come in and destroy the wrestler. It's like, it just takes a bit of greed. It'll be a funny moment. I'd probably laugh at it. I'd probably enjoy it. But I can't really ignore the fact that, it could be maybe not the smartest thing in the world. But still, either option I am fine with in terms of who wins. I'm assuming it's going to be Cody. Just because as soon as Arn Anderson said that in that promo, I was just like, yes, it all makes sense. I'm trying to tilt my head. If I'm like this, I'm lit. But if I'm like that, it's all wrong. I've got too long a neck and too big a head of hair. So anyway, this match will be full of shenanigans, and it will be fun and enjoyable. Cody will probably bleed. The question is normally, like, what's the timer for him to bleed? In MJF versus Cody, the answer was MJF blood is a trick question. And Cody's probably getting back to bleeding here. Maybe to just exemplify the beating he takes from Lance Archer before he wins. That could be my assumption. Just to really sell Lance Archer as this monster and really go for it. So when he locks in, I don't know if he's going to do the claw, because he took the claw. My hands are quite big on the camera. So you take the claw from Von Erich, which he did, which Lance Archer was doing in New Japan, and it's really over in New Japan, that kind of move. I don't know if it translates as well, especially in I guess the submissions work in AEW because they've got that the other wrestlers there working as a live crowd. In WWE, when there's no response from anything apart from the commentators, I'm not sure if this style would work, where you got a bloody Cody Rhodes and he locks in the claw and it's on for ages. In AEW's production, in the way that they do it, it could work, especially because you've got those fans around ringside kind of just screaming about it, and you'll have the shenanigans people there as well, so that could be a nice visual. I don't know which one I want. I'm going to assume it's Cody, but I've talked myself into Lance Archer, which is how these bloody predictions always go, unless I'm being... Why am I doing that? Just in case I'm being silly. So, yeah. Right, before moving on to the next thing, let's see. Is there a comment that makes sense that I can read? Nope, doesn't make sense. Right, go for it. Yeah. If you have any comments, just send them in. And again, if not live, send me on Twitter at DareMainBlackCat, or you can send me in the comments. I will hopefully remember to check them, because I'm awful at this. Right, time for more nonsense with... Let's get ready to rumble. What are you doing? There we go. There we go. Say goodbye to me. There we go. I'd say hello too. Oh, Stampede. Stadium Stampede, the first ever in, I guess, wrestling history. Where as they've got use of the Jacksonville Stadium, it makes sense to just have a massive brawl there, because there's no NFL, so why not take a massive advantage of that? The Inner Circle versus the Elite in what will be an absolutely chaotic brawl. It's a Falls Count Anywhere, and it will be absolute mayhem. So it's not one of those absolute brawls to and then it just ends. There will be a pinfall in this because it's falls count anywhere. There likely have to be referees all over the place, given if they do separate and brawl, a pin could happen at any one point. And obviously the other wrestlers, I guess, find out on walkie-talkie. I've not thought about the logistics of that. I've been myself back. Well, bam! Yeah, oh, there you go, that was fine. Yeah, so, with this one, I'm just expecting chaos. In terms of predictions, what do you predict? Just nonsense. Just silly fun bits. Like we saw with the brawl the other week, where they're just coming up with such inventive things and just silly stuff. Or as Chris Jericho put it, hey Matt, can you fit in that ice bucket? What's it called? Oh no, that was a funny gag, but I've ruined it. But yeah, so just randomly walking around the arena. Hey, can you fit in that? Yeah, I reckon I could fit in that. Yeah, well, why don't you jump out of it? That'd be fantastic. Yes. So, or just in the moment stuff. Apparently, Chris Jericho drunkenly putting the cone on his head. That was just improvised. It's one of those matches where the planned stuff and the scripted stuff they meshed really well, and it was just a nonsense fun brawl. Obviously, we've got Sami Guevara getting run over and creating amazing Mario Kart memes. So yes, thank you for that. This will be super fun. Like, just to show the creativeness on it's going all the time. I need a counter at the bottom for headset adjustments. But yeah, so with what were we talking about? Yeah, so with like this week where we saw the creativeness of the way that Hangman Page came in, which, if I'm right, on being the Elite, he started running, and then he arrived at the very end of the episode of Dynamite, where they were brawling kind of at the start area of the field, and then he pelted the entire pitch. Like, he came out of the runway and just pelted it down the runway. Is that right? Who cares? I don't do football. So he then ran down the pitch and just immediately clobbered somebody. And then, yes, just I love that. And continuing that story of he's just still that same feelings where he's not getting on with the Bucks, or especially Matt Jackson, and that tension is still there. That even though he's not been on television for quite a while, he's been one of those unfortunate parties that hasn't been able to get to the tapings. So this is his return, and he's just reminding everyone that that storyline is still intact, where after he beat them up, he then just walked away in the background as the remaining 4 people, with Matt Hardy, the Young Bucks, and Kenny Omega, stood as the Elite showed on the Titantrons, or the big screens, because Titantron's the big wrestling thing. Wrestling brain. Big screens equals Titantron. That's how it works. But anyway, the match itself is going to be pure nonsense. In terms of predicting it, who knows? In terms of who's going to win, it could be Inner Circle, just to add to that kind of the friction between the members of the Elite. I think Hangman Page said he officially left, or that was him saying that. I don't know how official it is. Anyway, that fraction needs to be kind of just pushed a little bit more. Put a needle in the crack, just nudge it that little bit closer. And with that, the Inner Circle kind of established themselves a bit more, because since losing the championship, Chris Jericho is he's been great still, but obviously he doesn't feel as dangerous an entity. The Inner Circle, I'll be perfectly fine with them winning here, just establishing themselves as this solid unit, because the Elite is fractured. So just go with that. It makes sense that the Elite would not work together as well as the Inner Circle because of that fraction that's there. Will there be a heel turn? I doubt it. Calling Hangman Page a heel turn is really doing it a kind of... when I say disservice, I mean it's way more complex than that. Yes, he is having issues with them and doing, I guess, heelish things and might turn on them. But his reasons... Because I think that's one of the things that was being talked about in the build-up to AEW properly starting, was when Cody said the phrase that straight-up heels and baby faces is archaic. But I kind of took that as to mean you can, like, especially in television, where the thing for me is WWE is very representative of television of a certain era, whilst TV now has moved on, and we want way more complex characters. We don't just want the superhero to come in and save the day. We want complex characters and storylines and watch them play out over a long amount of time. Technically, like Netflix, we binge it, but we watch it with it. It's like 10 hours long, a Netflix thing, and you watch that kind of play out over amount of time, rather than your 40 minutes, wham bam, it's all written up and done. That's kind of, there's been a massive shift in that. So it kind of makes sense for wrestling to also emulate that movement. and for like the Hangman Page thing to kind of slowly, like, you understand why he would be angry at them. And if you do it slow enough, it's not a heel turn. It's just an understandable friction and a split where neither party's really in the right. Like, in the match at Revolution, which is still my match of the year, from America. Let's not get into comparing it with Japan, that's a completely different podcast. But this is both teams, as I stutter about all over the place, it's getting close to midnight, 1 a.m. Sorry. So with both teams at that match at Revolution, both of them were being heel dicks. Like, both of them, there was like neither guy was really in the right. Like, Matt Jackson and Hangman Page were both being dicks. So it doesn't really make one better than the other. Both were in the wrong. So when you see it as, oh, he might turn heel, I was like, well, no, it's more complex than that. And I really like AEW for giving that kind of presentation and for it to play out over such a long amount of time that you don't really feel like either guy's in the right because you've had time to play it out and show multiple sides of people being dicks. So yeah, I think I've said dicks enough for a YouTube stream. So yeah, but yeah, prediction, Inner Circle. In terms of chaos, I don't know. Do we have a skit where someone does a touchdown with somebody? Like Jake Hager does the Bulldog power slam onto the touchdown field and fireworks go off or something. I don't know. Or you get it up on the Titantron, like touchdown or something like that. It feels wacky enough to do that. And I don't know how pre-recorded in nature it's going to be, because if it's pre-recorded enough, Matt Hardy can have his Impact Wrestling superpowers. That's where, like, as in, like, if the pyro comes up with fire when he comes out with Damascus written on top of the screen and all that ludicrousness. But in TNA, he generally shot fire out of his hands. They edited it in. Like, Jeremy Borash was such a massive part of that you could even tell when the Hardys left. They did something with Drake Maverick and, well, obviously Rockstar Spud at the time. And I want to say EC3, but I think it was somebody else. Where they travelled to a foreign country and they did all this stuff with a feud. And it was done in such a similar way that it really worked. And he just saw the influence of Jeremy Borash. And the fact that he's in WWE now and apparently had some say in at least one of the off-location shoots. I don't know about Money in the Bank, but he definitely had an off-location involvement in either the Undertaker match or the Bray Wyatt John Cena one. I can't remember which one it is. Either way, you can see his influence in the Rockstar Spud stuff when the Hardys had left. But the Hardys are obviously a massive part of that as well. So it's kind of like the two creative people have now split off and in different companies, both still nailing that concept. So it's great to see. I don't really know how far they're going to go with this, because the Matt Hardy character, I don't know how much of a long stay it's got, really. It's weird, because the WWE run did a really good job of souring you on this character. And now, immediately, in this time, to me, it feels like the character is of its time. When it was coming about, it was innovative and it was really, really interesting. But now, it's kind of feel like it's past, like his time was those years ago. And he's only really getting to elaborate it and flesh it out in the way he wanted to, like years later, when the time for it would have been years ago. Which sucks, really. But I'm still enjoying the nonsense, but I'm not super invested in the nonsense about Hardy. That makes sense. Where I feel like I'm perfectly fine with him now and this pay-per-view, but were it to go on much longer, not entirely sure. And of course we're having to change things about for the quarantine world that we're in. And assumably, because Cody would have been in that match, because it would have been Blood and Guts, and it would have been Cody in there, but with things that have changed about, now Cody's in TNT Championship match, and now Matt Hardy's in this. It did feel like Matt Hardy was like a man replacement for like Hangman Page not being there as well. And now Hangman Page is back in. So yeah, there's a lot going on, really. I don't know how long it really works with Matt Hardy in this, but it's fine enough. So yeah. Anyway, moving on to the next thing. The next bloody thing, because there's so much to bloody do. Right, next up, as I say goodbye to the Casino Ladder Match. Nonsense. Nonsense in the shell, Turtle Power. So, the Casino Ladder Match for an AEW World Title shot. Some people pointing out, but what about the rankings? I don't know. It's a weird one where the rankings is something that makes makes sense in wording before you see it in operation, and then how wrestling works, or how we've learned for wrestling to work, it kind of contradicts a system like that. So if you try and stick hardcore to a ranking system, you can't really break out of the box. And AEW have got the ranking system, but then they also don't confine themselves to purely just working with that. But obviously, having a ladder match like this means you jump the ranking system. So is it contradictory, or is it just making sure they don't box themselves into only keeping a ranking system? Seemingly, whichever one, depending on what kind of fan of AEW you are, you get a completely different answer every time, and both parties seem pretty strong either way. For me personally, I don't take wrestling seriously enough to care. Yeah, ladder match equals fun. Let's go for it. Let's bring me back, baby. I'm getting so sweaty. So, the competitors that you can see on the screen. Kazarian from SCU, Scorpio Sky from SCU, Darby Allin, Orange Cassidy, Luchasaurus, Phoenix, Kip Sabian, Colt Cabana, who did a beautiful moonsault, beautiful moonsault on Dynamite this week. Phoenix was doing lots of his bounce and flips and had a bad landing, but Colt Cabana just came in and did an Acai moonsault, and it was beautiful. It was amazing. He just came in and did it just perfect. It's just like, you can't do it better than that. I thought he just absolutely nailed it. And a mystery competitor. Who will it be? Is it a former WWE guy, or is it somebody from the Indies, or is it someone like Jeff Cobb, who we've seen on the scene before? Or it could be an indie person that's done relatively well. It could be Pineapple Pete, for all we know. And either way, it's interesting to do this because a mystery opponent in a match without a crowd, but you've got the workers who are there. I did see Billy Gunn's son, whatever his name is. He was tweeting that he's really enjoying being there at ringside for all of these shows, and he selfishly wishes that he could just be at all of them, just do this for ages. So he can react to it, I guess. You can be responsible for us just reacting to that. Anyway, so I've got no idea who the mystery person will be. There's word it could be one of the WWE guys who got let go. It could be anybody from the indie scene who's like, obviously you've got the current era where they're just not working, so this could be a nice little thing for them. Is there somebody returning that's been missing that I just can't think of, getting close to 1 a.m? I don't know. But either way, this will be a super fun match, and I don't really know who is going to win this one. I look at it because it could be like anybody really. I don't know who they're going to elevate. It could be, in terms of elevating somebody, Darby Allin is there on the cusp. For me, it makes sense with what they're doing with Taz and everything, where Darby Allin is shrugging off his advice. It makes sense that either Taz brings in somebody who did accept his advice, who Jeff Cobb would be bloody brilliant. That's where I'd go for that. But if you do that, then you've got your feud for Darby Allin, which for me, I would want Darby Allin to not win this to kind of, it even doesn't have to be Taz, but if Darby Allin then has a bit of self-doubt after not winning, as a plane goes over my house, hopefully you can't hear that. The mic seemed fine earlier. But either way, I don't really have any idea who's going to win this one. All I can say is I don't want to be Darby Allin, because his story seems perfect for it to not be him. Luchasaurus could be a fun one-off, although there seems to be building to him versus Wardlow with all of his stuff with Jungle Boy, Marcus Stunt going against MJF. Then with Scorpio Sky or Kazarian, we've already seen the Scorpio Sky thing as well. You would assume it could be a heel, given that Jon Moxley is likely to retain against Brody Lee. So if that does happen, obviously it happens later in the night, but let's assume Moxley's winning, therefore we get rid of all the baby faces. Unless you have Moxley versus Cassidy, which if I'm right did happen on the indie scene before AEW went into full play, and if I want to say it was great, Moxley was fantastic against Toru Yano, creating the best meme picture. When Moxley's just looking distraught, it's like, oh my god, and then it's got Yano going ha ha ha. Moxley's just distraught. It's just like the ghost of Toru Yano haunting Jon Moxley. So Moxley gets comedy. So him versus Cassidy could be amazing. Could be the mystery guest. Luchasaurus feels like the big guy who could be it. Phoenix would give you a fantastic match. You get your story of the last opportunity with Colt Cabana. What happened there? A complete blank on who Colt Cabana is. I'm looking at his face, just going, What is your name? I've just said it. It's all right. I complimented his Acai moonsault earlier, so that's all done. But yeah, I've gone through almost everybody that could win. Kazarian could be a similar story to Colt Cabana because you've already done Scorpio Sky against Chris Jericho, unless you want to again go Scorpio Sky. But in terms of the momentum going into this, it doesn't feel quite right. If you want to cement Kip Sabian a bit higher, give him a championship match, he loses. But he again feels like somebody who's kind of solidifying himself in the mid card and pushing him up that high might not be the smartest thing in the world. I did that off camera, so enjoy my arm going up. The Phoenix, I kind of like Death Triangle. Seems to be going somewhere, and they're slowly building to it. Then the quarantine happens. Pac is stuck in Newcastle. He can't get to America to do it. He cut an amazing promo putting Phoenix over, so at least there's that. I don't know if Pentagon Jr. is also in a state where he can't go to the shows. I assumed he would be in a similar location to Phoenix, so maybe there's something else there, which means they're not. Yeah, he's not able to get back in the country, or he just is injured or doesn't want to go. Who knows? He's not there. That's all I can say. I have no idea why he's not there. The mystery guest is a big one. Because you could put a massive finger on it being the mystery guest, unless that's just a red herring, or it's like a storyline. I think, as I was saying, like Jeff Cobb accompanied by Taz would be something to mess with Darby Allin. It's like, for example, if that happens, so you can have Taz come out Brandy style. Actually, if you do it as a nice callback to Double or Nothing last year, where Brandy Rhodes came out to the women's women's championship match. No, it's just a women's match, wasn't it? The championship didn't exist back then. So it's a 4 women's match. Well, it was a 3. Jesus Christ, it was a 3 women's match, and then Brandy Rhodes came out, and I want this match. I want it to be great, but really I want it to be awesome. I've paraphrased, and then Awesome Kong comes out. The crowd go crazy. They could do it as get a little callback to that with again Taz coming out. Bart Gunn. Is it Bart? No, Bart Gunn is the guy who won Brawl for All. Baby Gunn. What is his name? Billy Gunn's son goes crazy for Taz, and then you suddenly realise, oh, it's actually this guy. I would go with Jeff Cobb, just to again shooting down Taz, but also Darby Allin just not winning the match, and that not playing out at all. Then next week you can have Taz go, look, you didn't want my advice. If you want my advice now, I just want to help. Genuinely, just want to help you. You don't have to do the Taz immediate heel turn brings out Hoss to destroy Darby Allin. You can slowly build to that. As I'm assuming that's where it's going. Taz has already got somebody who he's managing, and this Darby Allin thing's just to set up a feud. You could easily do that, and AEW have given me the confidence that they would happily just keep doing that for another few weeks before introducing something, rather than running crazy with it. Especially in a lockdown quarantine where you kind of get your skeleton crews, and who knows what's going to happen with that. So it kind of makes sense to not bank on being able to just pull in names and names and names. It makes sense to kind of try and keep it in-house and play things out. Just let them develop. Don't burn through your stuff. Just let them slowly burn out. I didn't realise my head was so slippy during summer weather. My thing is coming off. Well, it's predictions though. I've got to bloody pick someone. I will go with the Phoenix. Let's go for it, Phoenix. Phoenix versus Moxley, a good match. Although, if I'm going with the entertaining side of it, Orange Cassidy wins. He's mega over, go for it. He obviously doesn't win the match against Moxley. Like with his match against Phoenix. Like, he obviously doesn't win, but he puts in a good shift in it, and you're like, oh... Like Santino Marella with Daniel Bryan at the end of the Elimination Chamber. Of course, Orange Cassidy doesn't beat Jon Moxley, but he can tease it and things, and Jon Moxley really does get comedy wrestling, so it'll be fantastic. I was going to go with just a smart choice of a wrestler I'd like to see in a world title match, but screw it, Orange Cassidy. Just scratch that, let's just go for the silly thing. Right, let's say goodbye to me. Huzzah! I can do that. I can take a swig of water now. Enjoy the sexy picture. Right, let's get up the next match. The AEW Women's Championship in a no disqualification match and no count out. I guess was that technically no holds barred, no rules barred? I don't remember. I don't know if that's a WWE thing, because I remember kind of going through what was allowed and not allowed in those different matches, and it's actually really weird. What is allowed in each one and what isn't. Like, there's only one match where something isn't allowed, but I can't remember what it is. Yes, crazy world. So, Nyla Rose, the champion, defending against Hikaru Shida, the challenger, who has been the number 1 seed for weeks and weeks. I think they said 8 or 9 weeks. She's been the number 1 contender at the top of the AEW women's rankings. Obviously, highly influenced by the COVID kind of lockdown thing, so you've only got your skeleton crew. But the women have really found themselves during these kind of last little whiles. Back I come. Huzzah! Oh yes, laptop webcam. Enjoy the noise back on the camera. So, Hikaru Shida has been fantastic, and they've done a really good job over these 8 weeks, just establishing her, as I was saying, with that streak. Because that's how long, if I'm right, the lockdown's been. And Hikaru Shida, for that entire time, has just built her up to this. And she's stayed undefeated, and she's felt like a genuine threat. This week, she got help, but she was able to overcome Nyla Rose. It's kind of like the logic of, well, I did best you at the end of AEW. That means I can do it again. I don't think she will. For me, this is about cementing Nyla Rose. There was the massive issue of that Nyla Rose was not there for weeks, but they gave the benefit of you got to build the other women. So Hikaru Shida took a massive benefit out of that. Britt Baker has been just gold during this pandemic. She's been fantastic. Penelope Ford got to shine. Who was the other person in the women's match this week? Britt Baker got potentially injured. We'll talk about that later. Chris Statlander as well. She's already had her feature having a match at Revolution, but again got to show off in this week of AEW as well. So really, the women's division has really started to feel like it's a division. Started to really get fleshed out. And I'm feeling really positive, really, about the women's division kind of go forward. Hikaru Shida feels like a genuine threat and a genuine contender. Where you just assume Nyla Rose is going to win. What is up with my hair? You just assume Nyla Rose is going to win. And that looks really weird. Sidetracked. This video thing is going to completely do me in with tangents. So you just assume Nyla Rose is going to win. But Hikaru Shida has been built up so well that you could see it happening. Which is really the benefit. That's really what you want. That is what you want with this kind of thing. You want to believe that she could, even if in your heart of hearts you know she isn't. But you feel like she could. So I'm assuming that's what I'm going to build off of. Where Nyla Rose just assumes going to be that dominant monster of a champion that we've seen her be before. And then Hikaru Shida's going to be that threat we've already seen her built up as on AEW. Which is likely going to kendo stick Nyla Rose. Again, I watched Double or Nothing from last year, again, just to refresh myself what happened. In that match, Hikaru Shida does distract the referee and use a kendo stick on Aja Kong. So again, a callback, she can do that. The referee gets distracted and she's the one that uses the outside weapon. The foreign object weapon, that's it. So she can easily do that, and that's how you could think that she's bested Nyla Rose. Or Nyla Rose goes for a steel chair, she goes to use the underhand tactic, but Shida actually beats her to it. It turns out, while she was doing that, she got her own weapon. So you can easily play off of that. I don't know how much Hikaru Shida is going to get in this match. Like, it's been a thing with AEW where they really have no worries in having their challengers get really close to that pinfall. Like, you really do believe that they could win in that moment, that they did something that was enough. And then it just, the champion survives and then gets momentum back. It's something I like about New Japan Pro Wrestling as well, where the challenger will get that steam and they'll get that momentum and they hit a flurry of moves, but it's in a way that really makes you think they could actually win it. It's normally like towards the end of the match where the champion has already dominated, already had their spree, but then the champion just gets an amazing string. And AEW haven't. I think the women. I think match against Chris Statlander generally suffered. I can't remember if there was an injury to Chris Statlander or if she was ill. I think it was. So she was never 100%. Nyla Rose might have been dealing with an injury because she disappeared for quite a while after that. Again, COVID, so maybe it wasn't. But yeah, I don't really know what's gonna happen in terms of like predictions outside of Nyla Rose wins. Hikaru Shida has a comeback. She uses a kendo stick maybe at some point. I don't really know. I'm expecting a knee kick out. Hikaru Shida utilises that running knee. And I'm expecting Nyla Rose to either just duck out the way or get fully kicked with it and kick out, just to get her as a monster. And Hikaru Shida was, again. Or you have to do that wide-eyed thing, don't you? Like, oh my god, I can't believe you kicked out. And then you have to go for it again, and that's where you get destroyed. or you go for something crazy and it doesn't pay off. I don't know. Anyway, none of it is going to win. I don't really have much more to say about it. I'm already sweaty enough. So let's move on to the next match, which is say goodbye to him, which is the I said there we go. That's how technology works, right? You make a noise, and if it doesn't respond, make it again. MJF versus Jungle Boy in a match which is happening and assumably had some setup. It's kind of had setup, I guess. So say goodbye to Jungle Boy's nips. Hey! What an introduction. So, again, the podcast people are going to just love these bits of it. It just works so well for podcasts for me to go, let's get the thing up. Say goodbye to nipples. I'm working both audiences here, guys. It's going really well. So, for me, this is MJF keeps his momentum. They mentioned on AEW this week that MJF is undefeated in AEW, and it just dawned on me, well, yeah, obviously, for those first months up until the turn, he was with Cody by Cody's side, helping out in brawls, teasing a turn, and then at the pay-per-view Full Gear, the turn happened. So then he got to sell the turn, and then he pays Braxton Sutter, what's his name? Butcher and Blade. I'm such a nerd. Butcher and Blade pays them off to be the mercenaries for him, and MJF since then has been now and then just getting a win to keep that momentum going, and just dawned on me, he's like, oh yeah, they've been telling such a strong story that I just completely, or like an arc, or building him up so well, I just completely forgot about his record, where it just made, everything they were doing just made sense in how he would build him up. Like, it didn't even dawn on me that he's undefeated. It's like, oh, that's just like another thing you can use for MJF, where he's this absolute prick, but he's really, really good, and he's undefeated. And Jungle Boy, I guess in a way, comes in a little bit of an underdog. This is AEW giving the future of their promotion. Like guys like MJF and Jungle Boy, I'll go. Hopefully, if AEW continues to succeed, then these two will be like high up the card in years down the road. And MJF versus Jungle Boy is, my mouse is glowing different colours. So hopefully that's not on the screen. But MJF and Jungle Boy, I'm trying to think. Darby Allin versus Sami Guevara was that match at the last pay-per-view. And this match has got that kind of similar feeling, where it's the showcase of the future, where you just give them this mid-card match and let them have at it, get each other over, and then the end thing. MJF will be the heavier favourite, I reckon, just because of who he's already beaten and who he is kind of, I guess, aligned with when he's in matches, as in who's he against. It just feels like it's a higher caliber, like who he's interacting with. That's a bloody word, interacting. It's not difficult to find. So you don't really know how much Jungle Boy's going to get in, because again, I'm expecting MJF to be a prick and all that. Part of MJF's thing is the other person starts to out wrestle him, then Wardlow does something, and then MJF gets back. Because they don't paint MJF as, he's all talk, but he's not anything in the ring. Like, they don't do it that way. MJF can back it up in the ring. Sometimes he needs a little help, but he can carry most of the weight himself. And I'm assuming that's where this will go. Jungle Boy will at some point start to have that momentum flash that I was talking about with the challenger. Like, if you picture MJF as the champion, I'm expecting such a similar flow, where MJF gets that build-up, and then Jungle Boy gets his momentum, he snatches it, and looks like he's going for it, and that's when Wardlow does something, and yada, yada, yada. Will Marco Stunt be out there to help, I guess? Personally, I'd prefer Marco Stunt. I've just done the fingers. I got to do it again. The Marco Stunt. I prefer if that was in the ladder match. That was a crap joke, but I paused to do it anyway. So Marco Stunt. I prefer to see him in the ladder match to do something. He could be in both, I guess. Just as the gag that he's really not an equalizer to Wardlow. Like, his purpose to be there is to stop shenanigans, but Wardlow just launches him into like the wrestlers in the crowd. Again, a benefit of it not being a genuine crowd, and it's your employees, it's other wrestlers, you can chuck him into the crowd. Just launch Marco Stunt away. Personally, that would look amazing. But then again, do you want something like that, where Wardlow just completely dismisses him? Or would you prefer a ladder match spot with Marco Stunt doing a massive stunt? You could do both, I guess, but you can only have one Marco Stunt pop, really, on a show. Don't want too much of him. Anyway, but MJF is going to win here. Keep that undefeated streak going. Jungle Boy's not the guy to take it from him. He's going to get his slow, gradual build as it is. There's not really any point in getting MJF to lose here. Why would he lose the streak to Jungle Boy of all people? Continue building that up. Just continue to build him undefeated. Yeah, go with that. There's not really much more to say because it'll be a mid-card match which is showing stuff. There's Jungle Boy's nipples again, everybody. Enjoy those for a second. Right, the penultimate match of the main card. Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, versus Chris Statlander. And this one is, as far as I know, in a bit of doubt after Britt Baker might have sustained an injury in the tag team match this week on Dynamite, where Nyla Rose was suplexed into a Britt Baker who was in the corner, and just immediately she was just looking at her leg like, crap. As in it's like that kind of, I don't know if it didn't look like, I don't know whether to call it, because sometimes you get shocked when you get an injury, and you kind of just zone out stuff in a way, and you look like you got that look on your face where you're just staring at it or just thinking. But also, you could just be thinking, oh crap. Someone in WWE had that reaction where they got injured and they were just pissed. The only one that's coming to my head blatantly is Randy Orton when he separated his shoulder. But I didn't know if that came across as him doing fantastic to stay in character. I can't remember if I'm thinking of the right one. Anyway, I've seen it in WWE before, where somebody gets that injury and you can just see it on the face that they're just like, oh, for God's sake, why now? Wade Barrett, he did it. I can't remember what happened to him, but he was getting that push. And he seemingly could have been like a top main event guy, and then he seemed to just get injury after injury, which just sucked, and then they never had faith in him. Either way, Britt Baker has been absolute gold. I said this earlier, but she's been absolute gold in this women's division during this pandemic. Really gotten her character over. It was going well anyway. Her interacting with Tony Schiavone was getting her over the hill as it was. But now she's like genuinely, like, she's got her character like nailed down. And that really helps make the division feel like a lot more fleshed out and alive, having a character that fleshed out. And that she just feels like a character now, which is great. And it absolutely sucks that she got that injury. Who's back? Oh, it's me. I keep going for as I said earlier, on a laptop, and I've purposefully put a mouse connected so I don't have to do this with my arm, and then when I turn it back on, you see a weird bending arm. It looks so strange. I'm going to bend it like that. It's so weird. Anyway, so I put my arm down now because it's really strange. So with this match, I don't know if it's definitely called off. If it goes ahead, I'm predicting Britt Baker, because that's like the next kind of step for her, is to cheekily get a win over somebody on a pay-per-view. Just because the character's been nailed so much, it makes sense for like her getting herself across as a role model. It makes sense for her to then, on a grand stage, cheat to win. That's just the next note in the arc. It makes perfect sense. And Chris Statlander, to kind of add to her character, just her getting pissed off at being on the end of that. That's exactly what. Like, really just if they give them 10-15 minutes, like AEW aren't shy in giving a lower card match time. That does often result in in Imp going to bed at 7 a.m. But it does mean that the characters get their time to play out. You're not rushing through something, and this one could get 10 minutes or so just to properly play out. And then Britt Baker is if he pulls the heel card and does the cheeky roll up a cheat or something, and that's how Chris Statlander loses. She has been winning with the submission, though, normally leading to something. So whatever causes Chris Statlander to be damaged enough so that Britt Baker can then lock in the claw thing, whatever it is she does. That's just me being a camp tiger. I don't really know. Oh, what's the phrase? Oh, I'm a dandelion. That's it. But yeah, so I don't really know. I've said that a lot. There's one thing to take away from this live stream. Is that when Imp's hot, he just doesn't know things. He just doesn't know things. I just don't know things. Yeah, anyway, I'm going with Britt Baker to win in the predictions of this one. It's just how the match will play out. Again, just 10 minutes of them getting in the stuff, and whenever Chris Statlander shows that momentum, Britt Baker can be a role model, and get her back on top. So yeah, I've got just as much to say. You can tell I'm getting tired. Because it is. Again, I'm going for the bloody say things. You can see my bending arm. Goodbye. Let's not do that. Right, next up. There we go. Dustin Rhodes versus Shawn Spears. at Double or Nothing. So this was Sean Spears on this week's AEW talking about what do you have? He had his SSN where it's Sean Spears News, and he was fully dressed up like a proper news actor, and they had the graphics along the bottom. I thought it was fantastic. I thought it was great. Generally enjoyed Sean Spears. Also, the Dynamite After Dark guys, Gentleman and Jeff. Gentleman on that show does not like Sean Spears. He's never cared for him. And he loved that Sean Spears news segment. So they are onto a winner with that. When even he just cannot stand Sean Spears, and he's like, oh, I really enjoyed that. That says something. But again, in this one, he's going after Dustin Rhodes to keep his rivalry short with Cody going. And the thing I really like about it so far, as I bring myself back on the screen, the thing I like about that so far is that Cody's doing his own thing, and Sean Spears, he's got this agenda against Cody, and he's generally serious and not wanting to let it go. And Cody's just moving on. He's going for the TNT Championship. Well, Sean Spears is like calling him out still and everything, going after him, and going after Dustin Rhodes is part of that. And the way he got to it, obviously that really smart thing of going on television and asking for the match, and he's just like, well, I've asked for it now. What are you going to do? Not give it to the fans after I've publicly asked for a match and set it up in that way? It's just like, oh, yes, I really like that. So he gets his way with Dustin Rhodes. I don't know if this is going to be, there's that thing of me not knowing things again. Will Dustin Rhodes get his comeback after losing to Hager, after being used as the guy who's putting others over? Does he get a win over Sean Spears here? Or is he used yet again to get someone over who kind of needs the win? I'd be happy with both. I feel like Sean Spears is in that position where if he goes after Cody but keeps losing, then that's a perfectly fine story, and he falls down the card. But I guess it's a fine story of Cody being right. When Cody said, over a year and a half ago, whenever it was, when Cody said, oh yeah, he's a good hand, he'd be a fantastic trainer here or whatever, and Sean Spears took offence to that. But over the course of the year or years, you see that Cody was right. And Sean Spears gets all of these big matches and just doesn't win. These massive matches. That said, Dustin Rhodes has just been putting people over. That same way in Chris Jericho. Like Jericho, before taking out Pineapple Pete last week, or taking out Shugs, he put him over. Which is just like, I love it. Pineapple Pete is over. And Dustin Rhodes has been doing a very similar thing, where kind of it doesn't really matter about his momentum that much. He's been putting over the others. And I don't see a Chris Jericho thing where he puts him over then just destroys him. I feel like, because again, Pineapple Pete was essentially a jobber, and he got called out and the match with Jericho happened. But Sean Spears is going to win this one. In terms of predictions, he is going again. He's going to win this one. I don't really know. Again, why do I keep saying I don't want to know? There's only one answer to that. Oh, that's amazing. Anyway, to be honest, me saying that over and over again has led to that moment. Therefore, it's totally worth it, and it's the best time to move on from Sean Spears. Goodbye, Sean Spears. To the final match, which we'll be predicting and talking about. It is the buy-in for the AEW Tag Team Championship #1 contendership. I worded that properly weirdly. It's written right in front of me. Private Party versus Best Friends, taking place live on the buy-in. Say goodbye to Sexy Chucky T. Right, so this will just be a fun pre-show match. In terms of predictions, I'd like Private Party to win this one. Assuming they're going to be there for future tapings, because they weren't there for the initial ones, and I don't know if the states opening up has allowed them to get here now. But Private Party, for me, Best Friends, I don't know. Orange Cassidy's 100% over, and then kind of having rivalries feels like more in place for me. I much prefer Private Party win, and kind of they get that elevation. Best Friends, I don't really feel like need that elevation. That as an act they are over with Orange Cassidy in that package. They are over. Private Party, I kind of feel like they could really benefit from this win. Whilst I'm not really sure what Best Friends get from winning and then losing to Paige and Omega. Of course, unless the story is whoever challenges next, they are the team to win as the fractures continue to show. Because of course, going in line with my other predictions, were the Inner Circle to win and bigger, and the friction between the group of the Elite is even bigger, then that makes sense when the Tag Team Championships are defended by Hangman Page and Kenny Omega, that there will be friction. It will be there. and you can then crown new champions. Also, if Private Party beat them, then that carries on that thing of Private Party beating the Elite, and I like that. Just continuing continuity, where they beat the Young Bucks in the tournament, then they here beat Omega and Hangman. I like that. Just keep that nice and going and flowing, and whatever. So yeah. Prediction, Private Party to win. Other prediction, super fun, high-flying, lots of action, tag team match. Also... Taylor pulled out a move of his that I loved on the Indies, but I can't remember what it's called now. It's like he's going to spin them in a Blue Thunder Bomb, then he just pile drives them. And the first time it happened, I thought, oh, that's devastating. I love it. It's fantastic. I can't remember what it's called, but that thing where he kind of spins them up like he's going to do Blue Thunder Bomb and then just nope down. So I love that. Fantastic. And that's the final match. Can I find the standard double or nothing thing? So say goodbye. Oh dear. Did I? There we go. Technology, guys. Isn't it amazing? So, you see me next to Cartoon Me. That was taken from an actual picture. As you can... Where's the angle for that? Ooh, no, nearly. Ugh. I look so much like that. It's insane. So, shout out to Ash from Wrestling Shots again for joining that. But, the t-shirt, it just went see-through. After so many washes, it just went see-through. So, I can't dress as Cartoon Me anymore. I've got to get red. I was going to wear white. I'm wearing red shorts, so I wore white with red to look like a Polish soccer player. But no, spilt spaghetti on it, so I'm Red Boy, which is a safe thing to say on the internet. So yeah, you didn't need to know that. So anyway, this Saturday is AEW Double or Nothing. Let's get that tangent out of the way. This Saturday is AEW Double or Nothing. I might go... no, sod it. I was going to say I might go full screen, but no, look at Cartoon Me. Double or Nothing will be live this Saturday. From the Jacksonville place, whatever it's called. I will be live with Laws of Pain Radio Aftershock immediately afterwards it is finished. If I can get this video to work, then maybe I could just use this setup with a different picture in the background. Who cares? I'm bloody knackered as it is, never mind, at 5 a.m. on Saturday night. But I'll be live immediately after to cover it for Laws of Pain Radio Aftershock. I might be joined by Jan Man from Dynamite After Dark, but that's not a certainty. Again, just life, as you understand, is very complicated and mixed up right now, so the availability of things just isn't there for everybody. So that's the case. But also, if I can get up my list of stuff, I've already said that. I'm back here on Thursday as well every single week, but yeah, I'm back on Saturday live immediately following Double or Nothing for LOP Radio Aftershock. But please do check out our other shows on the Laws of Pain Radio brand. If you go to lawsofpain.net or if you go to wrestlingheadlines.com, they feed into each other, doesn't really matter. Then they will show up. But live after AEW Dynamite is our AEW post show Dynamite After Dark with Jamman and Jeff. Yesterday's show's already up on the channel, on the Laws of Pain YouTube channel, and up on the Red Circles. It's gone out to all the different podcast feeds as well. Fridays is Miz Fan and Mystic with WWF The Legacy Series, an unabridged look over the history of the now WWE with the journey of the WWF. I cannot recommend this show enough. Starting from WrestleMania 1 and episode by episode, not just pay-per-views, Saturday night's main event, one by one, go through in detail. As I said, unabridged. I cannot recommend this podcast enough. Saturday, I'll be live following Double or Nothing. And Tuesdays is Kingdom of Honor, where they're currently going back over TNA's 2005 pay-per-views. This week's episode was Genesis. So, that's that. Anyway, one final check on everything. It's not in English. Shall I translate it and see if it makes any sense? The comment is probably... I need to reach over my weird arm again. Let's do this. This would be great. Translate. Yeah, it's amazing podcast content as I randomly translate a thing. That's an amazing translation. So in the comments, it translates to old man, who you talk to. Or is it old man who you talk to? As in, I'm an old man who you talk to, or you, old man, who you talk to. As I've said in the past, I talk to a wall about professional wrestling. For some reason, people listen. I don't know why. Some people listen. So I've ended up having to keep doing it. So there's the answer to an amazing question. That might be my favourite one. That might be my favourite one. I don't care if he posted that and left. It's like, this is rubbish. Oh, what are you doing, old man? No, I love that. It's a thing. I love that translation. Anyway, that's all of that. I've not actually got the theme for Imp's LOP Radio eventually set up on here, so just say goodbye to this. Anyway, this will be up on the podcast feed shortly. I've got to get to doing that. I will be back on Saturday, then on Thursday, so please do check that out. You can follow me on Twitter at the Damn Impercat. I posted a column last week for Lords of Pain as well, because I'm also a columnist on there. That went up if you want to give that a read. There's also awesome other columns up there which have taken over. So you want to read those as well. Also, Tim Rose put out a thing on Twitter, on the YouTube channel. So if you want to watch that, that wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. Anyway, with that, I say thank you for listening. And if you, how did I do? I assumed crap. This is my first time doing this, and I'm sweating like hell because it's also boiling hot. Like, talk about through the fire whenever I try something new. First time I did Aftershock, it was a lightning storm, and the guy I was meant to be helping out somebody. Then I meant to be helping out former host Stephen Bell, and both of us on opposite sides of the world had lightning strikes, and we were all in middle lightning storms, thunderstorms. He lost power. My sky was flashing bright lights as I was doing it. If people in the UK remember that from last year. And talk about baptism by fire. It's happened again. Just in under like the worst conditions for a British Irish person. Just absolutely, it's gone all right. Anyway, with that, I say thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Send in your thoughts or predictions to do with Double or Nothing this Saturday. Join us for Lords of Pain Radio Aftershock. Follow me on Twitter at the Damn Implicat. Follow Lords Wrestling Headlines at Lords of Pain. It's so much to remember on Twitter. And with that, I say bid you adieu. Adios. Click, click. Adios.